Okay, hey everybody. This is Teresa from Mental Health America, and here we have with us Heather and Robin who are joining us. Um, we all work on an Elevance Health Foundation grant that's working on addiction issues, and you all are peers. We all live with mental health conditions and have some connection to addiction, but I thought maybe we could just go around really quick and introduce ourselves. Today's topic is Alcohol Screening Day, and we're just here to talk about our lives and our experience with alcohol. I'll kind of kick us off. Teresa, I've had mental health conditions as early as 7 years old. I think that was the first time I had a panic attack. Um, and then, suicidal thoughts very early. I was just thinking about like how much of a baby I was, even thinking like how young 11 years old was, the first time just thinking about death and suicide and depression, and realizing as I got older that this has been in my family. And it's not surprising that my family members have struggled with addiction issues and mental health issues, but I am the daughter of someone who struggles with alcoholism, and I think about alcohol use all the time because of its impact on my family. But that is kind of like where I come from today. And so maybe we can go around, and Heather, you want to go next?
Sure, sure. Yep, I'm Heather. Are we talking about where we're from? I'm from
Or
Broome
just like
County.
yeah, no, share a little bit
Chill.
about you.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a person living in long-term recovery from substance use and depression, anxiety, and premenstrual dysphoric disorder. And that's really was my main like thing in life. If I would have known that from the very beginning, it would have been so much easier. But here we are to unravel it, right? So, yeah, and so I'm just happy to be here and to be able to share however I can and listen and answer questions and yeah.
Awesome. Robin?
Hi, my name is Robin. I'm an alcoholic. I'm in recovery. I started my journey with alcohol when I was a teenager. I started drinking when I was 15. I realized I had a problem when I was 21. I'm now 58, and I have had, in my sobriety times, I've had great lengths, 7 years, 4 years, 3 years, a year and a half. But I'm still struggling and battling on a daily basis. I mean, I've got 4 months at the moment from a relapse, and I'm also diagnosed with PTSD and anxiety disorder.
Yeah. Well, I'm so thrilled to have you here. I hope this is just a space where we can hang out and talk about these issues. And I should have a warning for content. We are talking about drinking. We are talking about the impact of addiction on our lives. These are hard topics. Maybe things will come up. So if you feel like this might not be appropriate for children, it's a good time to just kind of let you know that. All right. So let's dive right in. When did you first realize that alcohol was a problem? Like, what did that look like? How did you guys
Kind
know?
of let you know that. Um, who wants to go first?
Well, I can go first. I can tell you when I was a teenager, the first time that I drank, I threw up and blacked
Mm.
out, passed out. While my friends, where I was on the East Coast, they were all watching the
When
fireworks, and
did you first
I was
realize that
underneath.
alcohol was a problem? Like, what did that look like? How
Well,
did you guys know? Kind of like threw up and black.
well, I passed out, and I was under the boardwalk during Fourth of July during the fireworks at 14 years old. That was the first time that I got drunk, and I passed out.
Yeah.
And it continued like that for me. Quite a bit of my drinking in my teenage years was, passing out or throwing up.
Mm,
Yeah.
That was
yeah.
the first sign that I did not process alcohol the same way as my friends.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I can bounce off of that. So I didn't like the taste of alcohol at first. I forced myself to like it because it was a social thing for me. And so I had to learn how to drink. And within like the first few months, I too overdid it, for a lack of a better word. Like, yeah, I mean, I was throwing up, and I don't remember. large chunks of it that when I think about it, and quickly realized, well, that's not going to work, but I want to keep drinking.
Mm,
And so for me, it was a deterioration of health, um, of mind and body in
yeah.
high school
Mm,
that really made me, yeah, because yeah, I went big or went home, so I hurt myself,
yeah.
and I wasn't able to wake up to get to school. I was absent. I was sick all the time, and I didn't know I had a bunch of health issues, mental health, whole body health issues. Didn't know, and it was the drinking and the using of substances that made me come to realize that.
And it's weird. It's interesting because for me, hearing that you guys were talking about this, you're really quite young for both of you guys. You started drinking when you were in high school.
Mm,
And it's hard because when you're in high school, I certainly was not really fully aware of the way that I was wrecking myself, you know? Um, but I feel also with drinking or using substances, sometimes that's like a weird slow process, even though you guys both talk about jumping in and hitting it hard. I mean, to get to the place where we were blacking out, was that process slow? Because I think back to my drinking and being aware that like drinking was a problem in my family, but even though I knew,
yeah,
looking back, I'm like, holy crap, I missed all the signs that things were a problem. It's just like coming home, drinking every day, not being really attentive to how much I was drinking, drinking alone. I don't know, the drinking when I didn't even need to drink, but just was looking for it. So
right.
like I don't know, did that process feel
Yeah,
slow to you or did it feel very fast?
both for me.
I think for me, because I had the genetics predisposed, that it just started off bad right from the beginning. Throwing up,
Mm,
blacking out. It was never normal drinking. My friends were never as sick as I was. No one threw
Mm,
up like I did. So the signs were, had I no really listened, but I was a social drinker. I would go out. Was in college partying, all of that at University of Colorado. We had a lot of good times. I just chalked it up to just being a person that got sicker than other, my body didn't handle the alcohol as well, but I didn't certainly think that I was an alcoholic. I
mm,
just thought that I needed to moderate my drinking.
mm,
And then it was then that I decided, I noticed that I was struggling on a Friday night. If I couldn't, I'd say I wouldn't drink, and then I would drink. And that was a
yeah.
continue for years that went on. Oh, I'm not drinking this weekend. And I would drink it on the weekends. I could not moderate my drinking,
yeah,
or not drink at the party, even if I said so ahead of time.
That issue of boundaries like is absolutely a thing, right? Like,
mm,
oh, I'm going to set this limit and then I'm not
yeah,
Right.
necessarily following through.
I mean, how many times have you heard people say, I'm not drinking ever again? I'm never drinking again. All the
yeah,
time. Most people say that with a big hangover after New Year's Eve, right? I'm not drinking the rest of the year. And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people make it to the next weekend, or not to the end of the month with a resolution like that. It's
yeah,
difficult even for people that don't have a problem.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I went fast and slow. So like I muddled around with drinking in smaller amounts at first, and then I'm like, oh hell, I'm just gonna drink a bunch tonight. And I would just probably within the first year. And I just remember hovering over a toilet and I thought there was blood, but it was cherry colored vodka, and
Yeah.
I was so out of it. It was a bad experience. Um, and then thinking, oh well, I won't do that again. But I would every so often go over the edge again, and it's like I said, my health started deteriorating, like I needed to find other ways to self-medicate, you know.
Yeah. How much was self-medication kind of part of that story,
I
do you
think for
think?
me, um, it was the majority of the story.
Mm,
Like I know percentage wise, probably 65, 70%. That's maybe I could be more generous, but I just want to be fair. Like, yeah, like that in retrospect. Because you know, the other things didn't surface until the drinking started breaking me down. That were there before I started drinking problems, you know. Like, you know, I was just bored and I had this imbalance. I had a mental health issue. You know, I had like anxiety and depression, but I had this premenstrual dysphoric disorder, which is like
Mhm.
people don't even talk about that. They still don't even talk about it. It's so
No.
underrepresented, and I'll just spend like 20 seconds on it. Literally floors me to this day, and I'm 47, and it's been going on since I was 11. So I didn't know I was having that state of being every month, and that would last for 2 weeks out of the month. And I was drinking to try to,
Mm.
you know, I mean, there's a list of other things too, but I do like to just bring a little bit of attention to that because it's a big deal, you know, and I'm sure
Yeah.
I'm not the only one, you
Yeah.
know, that I'm sure I'm not the only woman with uterus that experiences that,
No,
you
you're
know.
not.
You know, so like I'll just talk about it, you know, and but yeah, I hope that answers your question as to how much of it was medicating. Like some
Yes.
of it was socialized, social, you know,
Yeah.
trying to, because I'm neurodiverse. You know, have a couple learning disabilities, so learning to be social with that, and I didn't know until later, you
Yeah.
know, so that was part of it too for me, really just trying to relax enough to like converse, like, because I was all about horses and 4-H, and like I didn't want to talk about anything else. For an hour, and if people would like other teenagers would be, you know, it was just awkward.
Yeah.
I had to learn social skills later, but the alcohol took that away. It didn't matter, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it did matter, but that's the mentality I had.
Yeah,
So
Robin, how about you? How much was
Um,
self-medication a thing?
I, in looking, honestly, I believe that I was medicating my anxiety disorder from a very early age. I was always anxious. I went to Catholic school. I would be extremely nervous on test days with the nuns, Sister Sheila. I would be very nervous before
mm,
confession on Saturdays as a child, all through my school years, and so I had a pretty hefty anxiety disorder going from for a child, I would say. So the minute
Yeah.
that I discovered alcohol, you know, helped make me feel comfortable in my skin and to be around other people and boys and social things. I felt like, oh, finally, I've found, and that's what most people that have use alcohol say. Oh, here it is. It's something that makes me feel comfortable in my skin. I can relax. I can dance. I can, you know, socialize with the opposite sex and or you know, many things that make you feel comfortable when you're literally medicating a disorder and
Yeah,
unbeknownst to you.
mm,
totally.
mm.
When did you what did it look like when you started repairing your relationship with alcohol?
Well, I'm still working on it. I it's an ongoing process. It's a daily reprieve for me. But when I was 21 years old, I had gone out for the weekend and had a horrible binge. And I blacked out and I woke up someplace I didn't know where I was. And I think I scooted home and I thought to myself, you know, it was scary. I knew I was scared.
Mm.
And you know, the shame and the guilt from whatever had transpired or not being able to remember or not really knowing how I got to where I was really kind of threw me. So I was at work and I was waiting tables in 21.
Mm.
And I asked a coworker, she was in recovery. And she said, you know, you can go with me to a meeting if you'd like. And I said, reluctantly, I said, okay. And I did. And I got scared to death. And I never went back. It was like 20 years later, 25 years later when went back. But I can remember that day, and that was the first thing. So I had an inclination at 21, but I got scared, and then I would just practice self-restraint or not drink at all, just because I knew I didn't like the way it made me feel with hangovers. And as I got further on in my life, I had a child, and of course I didn't drink. You know, I was a mother, and I just thought it had gone away because I was so busy focusing on everybody else.
Mm.
Mm.
Uh, it was when my children were grown, and that
Yeah.
other things happen in life, and you know, I eventually acquired PTSD. I was hit by a drunk driver.
Oh,
Mm.
jeez.
Yeah, so ironically enough, right, by a drunk teenager. and I had
Mm.
sustained a broken neck. So with that
Wow.
being said, it was after my accident that I actually started drinking.
Understandable.
Right.
Yeah.
I had a broken neck. I was in a hail. I had a long journey of rehabilitation. And it was at that point, I guess I just felt a lot of hopeless. I was just so many things but the PTSD and then the panic disorder that really set in. And the
Yeah.
only thing that seemed to work was at that time was alcohol or
You know,
anxiety medicine, which are both as similar in compound.
oh yeah, I heard you mention that the other day when we were
Yeah.
talking, and I was so glad you said it. I sparked when you said that. I was like, thank you for saying that.
Right.
Um,
And then I went on
I
anxiety meds, and then anxiety meds create a whole nother problem.
yeah, well, they can, and the thing is that I said it's understandable, because I like to remember that people use alcohol or substances or whatever because they just want to feel good.
Yeah. Feel better.
Yeah.
That's really all. I mean, it's not a crime to want to feel good. And I feel that it's important to remember and to say it because there's so much guilt that comes with it.
Yeah.
So much of the time that to remember that truth is important. We all just want to feel good. And so there's different ways of getting to that point,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
and so some of us
We
some of us
wouldn't
see
use it if it didn't feel good, you know?
right,
Like
right. And it's actually kind of brilliant. I mean, our brains want to feel good. It's the survival, we're just surviving the best way we know how at the time until we can find other ways.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about for you, Heather? I mean, what does that story sound like when you were started to repair your relationship with alcohol?
It was a long drawn out process for me. I thought about this all day after I read the email. I'm like, how the heck am I going to answer that? And I just was like, because for me, there was always a void. So when I decided I didn't want to drink anymore, I had to use something else and
Yeah.
something else and something else. So for me, I guess you could say there was a repair with alcohol, the relationship with alcohol long term. There has been, but at the time, it was a replacement game for me,
Yeah.
and I had used a plethora of different substances. So and I would pick a favorite one, and then I would stick with that for a while. So like when I went on to things that worked better for me, I thought I just quit drinking,
Yeah.
and it was hard. I had like DTs and I went through all that, but the problem is that it kept chasing me, this void.
Yeah.
And I wish I could just say, oh, I mended myself together through the program and through the rooms and then alcohol. No, it wasn't like that. This went on for like, I don't know, I think I was like 13 until I was 21.
Hmm.
So, and then finally I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. I got tired of having to put myself in positions that were very dangerous to live the life I was living. And I started to have a lot at stake, aside from my self worth, which I hadn't learned yet at the time. But I had,
Yeah.
I was going to college and I was working and supporting myself because I left when I was 16,
Yeah.
and was working and I got like this, I got a license, a professional license. And they were like, well, if you get a DWI or any type of, get caught, you could lose your license. And for me, that was like scared the crap out of me because I have to support myself.
Yeah.
Like I was so self-dependent that it literally really helped me get the help I needed.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
And so what did that start to look like for both of you? I mean, like what does
Right.
what does recovery look like? Like that's an even harder question. You're like, okay, so we start to repair our relationship, but this journey is not long. I mean, like
Yeah. The tools that we use. the tools we use, right? So there's
Yeah.
so many of us use so many tools, and sometimes they change, you know. And I could stop talking, and Robin, if you'd like to share, and then we can just go back and forth.
Well, I was just thinking for me, I personally get very sick, so I ended up in the hospital, and then I into rehab, and
Mm.
I've done that a couple of times, and for me, it's the only option.
Mm.
There's no way that at home or with the assistance of my family, close family members or friends, that that's going to go down. So,
Mm.
I personally have to have be hospitalized, or at least get in an environment that's supportive of the beginning and in the introduction to recovery, or to I think in a 30-day program or in an outpatient program, that they educate you on alcohol, and they also you have time to process. This is where you can sit down with yourself and really take a look and really do some screening, self-screening, or and get into with a therapist, or have some take the opportunity to really look at all the negative consequences that you have transpired, whether legal, whether they're breakups, whether it's fighting with your boyfriend, your parents, your neighbors, are you bumping cars, right? Um, that sort of getting it physical fights. I know a lot of people, there's lots of altercations and crazy things that happen when people are under the influence, and the cleanup is part of the process as well. So I think when you find yourself getting so entangled into having so many problems, and you take a look at it, and you do need, I think, some time, if you have the luxury of taking some time, or getting some outside help to take a look and self-efface and see what you can do to make your life get on a better path,
Yeah.
yeah, and what the journey of not drinking looks like,
Mm.
Mm.
and how awesome it can be, and what a great life and once you turn that corner, the positive aspects of living a life without alcohol are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they say, it's a miracle, because it is.
It
It
is.
is. It is.
Takes a minute, but once you understand the process,
Yeah, it can be really uncomfortable. It can be very uncomfortable. So I always take the rose-colored glasses off and say, hey, it's going to be uncomfortable. I'm not, that's the truth. Is that you get to the other side of it eventually, and then not all days are great, but then you have a toolbox that you can use. And people are a big thing for me. It was getting connected. I started off going to AA. Actually, I started off going to CODA, Codependency Anonymous, because I was stubborn. No.
Yeah.
Somebody with a substance, stubborn? Yes, that's the heart of it. And
Yeah.
so I was like, no, I don't have a problem. I just need to go to CODA. And then I went to AA. And then I found myself doing CODA and NA and the 12-step programs. There really, really helped me. I wish I would have gone to inpatient.
Mm.
It would have saved at the time. Like I could sit here and say, oh, I didn't have to go to rehab. No, 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 no. I didn't go, and I should have gone, because the stubborn part, my pride, when I was so young, because I thought I had to do it all myself, right? That fallacy. We have to do it all on our own. It took so many years of
Mm.
trial and error and falling down. And what I've learned is that having your tribe and having unity and having other people, peer support, people that have lived it before you, they're it's amazing how it can carry you. And so we carry each other, right? That's what we're doing right now,
Yeah.
and so I mean, almost 20 years for me. I'm here still.
Yeah.
Sometimes hanging by a thread, but I gotta have some grace, right? So
Yeah.
like but I'm a really I don't think 12 steps is for everybody, but I know that for me it worked. And
Yeah.
it helped connect me with the spiritual, for me, not it's not for everybody, but the spiritual bankruptcy, so to speak, that I had going on.
Mm.
And to get it helped me drop into myself, my center,
Mm.
and have something to hold on to, and still to this day,
Yes.
um, I do an online meeting on Sundays. It's Pagans in Recovery, which I find very interesting.
That's
Very
awesome.
interesting. Yeah, it's very
There's
cool.
something for everyone.
There is
Yeah.
something for everyone. It's a group out of Ohio. It's Appalachian Pagan Ministry, and it's they're Norse and they're it's wonderful, and
I
I
love
just
it.
love it.
That's
That's
You
great.
awesome.
know, they're in
That,
Ohio and I'm in New York. Go figure.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, it works though. If it
it,
works,
If it works,
you,
it works.
that's
it
right.
does.
If it works, it works.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah.
I do a women's international meeting. There's almost like 200 women on each meeting from all around the world. And you get
Oh,
to see,
yay.
you recognize the same regulars. It's really good. It's
Oh,
Women's International AA 24 hours a
oh,
day.
I'm gonna write it down.
It's a lovely, it's a great way to, just zoom in. That you can keep your camera off. You don't have to say anything, but you can learn so much, and it's a lot of fun. And sometimes it's sad too. We're there to support one another. And I tell you, if you really just want um, to learn about problem drinking, it's a great way to voyeur. Like you can just be there and no one knows you're there, but you're
Mm,
listening and you can see the people that have their camera on that are sharing. And I learned so much. I
Yeah.
love
yeah,
it. I'd be washing the dishes and have it there like a television, like literally like a TV, because it keeps me in the loop, and especially days
yeah,
when I'm struggling. And we talk about many things, not just alcohol, but many other topics as well. So, and that's a great, and there's many of those online that you can find in your local directory as well,
wonderful.
for teenagers or you name it. There, anything you can think of that's diverse will be there for you as well. So I encourage that as well, because you can just kind of nosy around a little bit without, and just kind of inquire.
Yeah.
And
The name of those programs, how tell the audience is very interested in this. So how did you guys
sure.
find both of these resources? What are their names again?
Well, this is the Women's International Meeting, WIM, they call it. They have a Facebook page.
Okay. Can they find it on Facebook or do you
They can
look it
find it
up
on
on the
Facebook.
internet?
They can find that, or they can go to your AA intergroup, or you can just put in Google AA intergroup, Women's International Meeting, or local meetings, or you can just go on
Okay.
AA intergroup.
Okay.
Com. You can
Yeah.
put in your location, or you can find Zoom meetings. You can find 24 any meeting around. There's just hundreds of meetings online there. But you
Yeah.
want to find the one. There's a lot of postings that are solicited, right? So it looks like
Mm,
you're going onto the AA intergroup, but you're not. You're actually being led to a usually like a rehab. They're trying to solicit you. So you
yeah.
have to take your time and go down the list and look at the aaaintergroup.org, and there you'll find anything and everything that'll suit your needs. And there's all categories there. You filter through. You can put women, your age group, your size. Not quite,
Yeah.
but there'll
Yeah.
definitely be something that fits you there. And it's international as well, so all languages and ages and backgrounds.
Heather, is
I
the
can
AA
share.
website how you found the pagan?
Oh, so I'm just a very resourceful human being. This is this is just, like I ran. How did I find out? Oh, there was a local. There was somebody local to me that was asking if there was anybody who's interested in being involved in meetings, 12-step meetings that were non-Christian.
Yeah.
And of course, I was like, because I'm for everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yes, anything that works, please. So that's how I found out about it. And I was led to I can give a couple of websites. Would you like me to read them off? I have them right here.
I think we should. Let's do it.
Sure.
Okay.
Pagans, you know.
Well, if you Google pagans and recovery, you're gonna get many of them, I'm sure. So that's great. Pick one if you'd like. But the one in particular that I'm talking about, yeah, because I don't want to be biased. I think they're all probably great.
That's right.
But I start out with APPPGN Ministry on Twitter, and Donna is the one who runs the group.
Yeah.
It's Donna Donovan, so it's DonnaDonovan 1 at
Yeah.
TikTok, and then she's got a YouTube channel, but through TikTok and the Twitter, you should be able to find that. And AppalachianPaganMinistry.com is her website. 'Cause she's a minister. But yeah, it's a good time.
I might show up too, Heather.
I love
It's
it.
really interesting. Yeah. And I would
And
love to, your resource as well. I'm going to look into. Thank you for sharing that.
I love the diversity of these resources. We have about 5 minutes left, so I want to have an opportunity for us to close out and like give advice. Like people might be struggling. If you could give one piece of advice from your lived experience to someone who's struggling with alcohol, maybe they're afraid to share or reach out, or they don't know where to go to get support. Like
Mm.
what wisdom would you impart?
I would say that if you're struggling, only you inside know that moment, that feeling. When you hit that core in yourself where you're scared. I think that when you're scared and you have your insight and your intuition tells you things are not going, this does not feel right.
Yeah.
This, I think that that's a really good sign, and to reach out and to ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, that's the most important thing. When you start feeling like that, you're not alone. Don't be shameful. Don't have to, it's so important. There's so many others just like you, identical to you, that are there to support you and have experienced the same challenges that you're going through. And it's so much better and easier and will save you so much discomfort if you just reach out and ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, in that time where you're not sure when this is such a hard thing it's easier said than done. Send yourself compassion
Yeah.
when you being compassionate with yourself is so much easier said than done, but when you have that, you can, it'll allow you to reach out, and you're going to get that compassion back tenfold.
Yes.
There's people,
Yeah.
I mean, almost guaranteed. There's no absolutes in life, but I'll tell you what, it's almost guaranteed, and
Yeah.
it's so worth it. And for me, isolation. I mean, some of us are introverted extroverts, right? Some of it, like, okay, and that's okay. I'm like that. Like, I love to be out with people, but then I have to recharge. But I learned that isolation was a monster for me,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it would want to keep me, you know, destroying my life. And so,
Basically, yeah.
reaching out, it's through the other that we mirror and get better and grow and learn who we really are. And there's people love you and life loves you, and all your cells in your body are happy and they want you to be here.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds a little pretty, but it's really true.
Thank you,
That's
Heather.
what
That
we
was
need
awesome.
though,
Okay.
it's
So
it's
true.
really hard when we're in that moment. I mean, when I hear both of you speak, the things that stick out to me is that when we're in recovery, there's an inward process. There's a part of us that has to look inside and say, like, what's that void that you're running from? What are you trying to fill? Why are you filling it with alcohol? And because of addiction, like, it's not a pretty process. There's always an outward thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
we know that things get bad because they start to affect the people around us, the relationships we have, the things around us. We have to be aware of the inside and the outside. But I love that for both of us, we land on a message of hope and like
Mm,
love and recovery. And that's so wonderful because I think that's what keeps us going, you know?
that's
So
right. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the resources that you all have shared. I know 12 steps is really important part of, even for me, mental health recovery. And I'm just going to drop that the program that we work on is through mhascreening.org. It's somewhere, if you don't know if you're struggling with an addiction issue, you can go online, take the addiction test, check out the articles that Heather and Robin help us write. Everything we curate on our site is through lived experience, and we're just so grateful for both of you to be here and share of yourself and to share in our work.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
And
Awesome.
thank everybody who's on with us today. Sorry for the late start, and we look forward to the next time.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Bye.
you
Wellness to
all.
everyone. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.